But now you're live.
Lovely. We're live. We're
All
live.
right.
This week, actually,
Hello.
it looks like social media is working because remember last week they were having all those issues. Well, let's
Oh.
hope they don't today.
Hello and good morning.
No issues
to
today.
you from Midoma NYC, and I was going to report in with lots and lots of sunshine today in our
But?
Tuesday talk number 9, but it got cloudy. It's
yeah,
not raining.
but I mean, it's not raining. That's the good thing, and
Step-
it is brighter than it was yesterday.
Step in the right
that's for
direction.
sure.
It's
Yeah.
always brighter in front of our light for our Instagram.
Of course, we
Yeah.
love the light.
Yeah.
We bring the light.
Yeah. Well, we try to bring the light. So, how is everyone? How is everybody's week? I hope good.
After Thanksgiving, I'm sure I'm stuffed. You know, you guys stuffed.
Oh,
my
right.
belly
You had your
good.
first Thanksgiving
Yeah.
in New
You
York.
came through with the gravy.
Oh,
no
thank you.
lumps.
Thank you.
Beautifully done.
Thank you.
And I experienced my first ever string bean casserole. And when I wrote to Joey the next night and I said, I just want you to know I just had thirds with my leftovers on the string bean casserole. And then the next day at work, you said to me, don't get used to it because if you have another one, mine is special.
Exactly. There are little things I put in mind that a lot of people are just like, I've never had it this way ever, and so they can't go back.
So it was a
It was
successful
very special.
Thanksgiving, and we
Thank you.
played a really bizarre card game that made us feel like bad people.
Well, it's Cards Against Humanity,
So there you
people out there
go.
know about that game.
It's
That
in the
was an
title.
introduction that was
Yes.
new for me, and we spoke of what we were grateful for, and
Yes.
I'm sure a lot of you guys did as well. And
Classic Thanksgiving. You take in strays
Of course.
Stray.
When you're new to New
or
York.
newcomers,
That's right.
and you share what you have, right?
in the
Yeah.
space that you can do it in. So I was climbing over my couch to get to the table, but it worked.
It works.
It worked for
It
Youthful
works.
Spirits.
It was
so-
amazing. We're very appreciative. Thank
Oh
you.
my God! Thank you for all that you did for us.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
But yeah, leftovers in our house finally disappeared last night.
Mine too.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So we were well fed since then.
Yes.
It
Well-
did feel longer than just a few days.
It did.
Right?
It did.
I don't know if it's like a mental thing where you expect the holiday to be on a weekend. And then I was like, oh, it's only been since Thursday. I keep forgetting that it's gone today when I thought I was eating it for every day for a week. But it wasn't a week. It was delicious. It was delicious. But and I am grateful.
It's kind of like, your week is in disarray a little.
That's right.
Well, my biggest thing, when we were over at Thanksgiving, that I was mainly grateful for, of course, coming to New York was, my dreams are coming true, and that's kind of what, we want to talk about.
That's
today,
right. I got Joseph's Tuesday Talk content on Sunday, and yeah, that was good. It was an interesting text to receive with why don't we talk about what inspires us, right?
Yes.
So go ahead.
Well,
What were you thinking of, or watching,
Well,
or doing, or listening to when you wrote that?
Well, the biggest thing yesterday is a big moment in my life. 10 years ago, I actually lost my partner to cancer. I was 25 years old, he was 33. So going through that experience changes a lot in your life and makes you think, what is my purpose? What inspires me? What keeps me going through this life that's very mundane at times, and going through a tragedy can really either make or break you, but it should make you more than anything. It makes you stronger because, like everyone always says, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. So going through that, and of course, Thanksgiving is always that time of year when I always remember those things. And when I came to your home, and then just coming to New York, I'm actually having my dreams come to fruition now. And I always kept my eye on the prize, and that was the biggest thing, going through this for the past 10 years of struggle. And then, of course, though, of last year, about a couple years ago, meeting my now fiance, has changed a lot of that too, because before him, I was kind of in the dumps and not really focused.
Mm-hmm.
But, once you find that other person that can share your experiences with and joys and, highs and lows, and actually be that support and that backbone for you, even though I do have my own backbone too. But you know, it's always better if you have two. it really has changed my life being here.
Yeah, it's funny because in our old location, we had, you know, it was more of a neighborhood. Again, I've said this before, the last 3 years there were terrible because the street kept getting ripped up. So no one, not even people who lived on the street, seemed to be walking down the street anymore. A small block on the Upper East Side. And we had, but previous, you know, the first 7 years that we were in that location, we knew a lot of the faces, and I was the mother of the block and yelling at kids for throwing snowballs at the cars, that kind of person. But all in all, there was a lot of love on that block with the faces that we had become to know. And there was a person who lived a few doors down, and we were talking about dreams one day outside of the store because it was ground level. And he said, I've achieved my biggest dream in my life. And I said, what's that? He said, to live in Manhattan. So that's a lot of people's dream, you know, it's on their dream list. I don't know where that stands for me. It was a similar situation where my darling sister brought me to New York for my, was it my 18th birthday. And she said, I want you to bring one of your friends, and we're going to go to New York for a weekend. We're going to see a show, and we're going to stay by Central Park. And it was all brand new to me. You know, I was born in Syracuse, New York, which is a city, but small. It's a small city. And so when we were here, I was in complete awe of everything. I mean, just a park that's right there across the street from all of these buildings. And it was just such a contrast. Literally, one side of the block to the other side of the street. And to be that close, right? That you could touch the building next door. I didn't grow up with that in that kind of an environment. So we had stayed at the Essex House, and to me, that became kind of like Dorothy's Emerald City. You know, when we were in the park and we were looking at it, I remembered that moment in that time of year every year where I watched The Wizard of Oz
running through the poppy fields.
And I just, you know, it had this
classic
glow.
location too.
Yeah, it was amazing, you know. So the green wasn't on the building; it was in the park. But there
still,
was so
country
much. And
country meets
this,
city.
yeah, and I remember that moment. And then to top that off, the show that she brought us to was A Chorus Line.
What
And
a great
I
show to
hadn't
see on
known it.
Broadway.
I hadn't known, you know, I was just coming up in all of this. I had been involved in musical theater with some theater companies in Syracuse. I started as someone in the audience, and then the next weekend I was ushering, and then the next show I was backstage, and then the next show I was on stage, and it just happened really quickly once I got involved with it, but it hadn't been a long time.
So would you say that with doing that, because I mean, with you doing acting, did the dream catch you, or you caught the dream?
So I remember. Okay, so if you've seen the stage version of A Chorus Line, well, I think they even did it in the movie when they turned it into a movie years ago. There's that point, that pivotal point where, well, first of all, you're hearing everyone's stories.
Yes.
And it's
With their headshots.
yeah, I mean, it was just real life. You know, it wasn't, but it was, right?
Yeah.
And that's what everyone knew and felt, whether you were in a show or not. But when those mirrors turned around,
Oh, they did.
the
do
wall
that movie,
turns,
yes.
and all of a sudden it becomes this magical moment. And I sat there saying, holy Batman, I love this, I want this. Now flash forward to my 46th birthday, which was years ago, and someone surprised me with tickets to one of the longest running shows at the time, if not the longest, which was Phantom of the Opera. I had never seen it here.
Yeah.
So I had never seen a staged version of it, right? So I sat on the edge of my seat the entire time and silent, right? I was silent. I think I teared up and had tears coming down my face at some point.
It's magical.
Yes,
It's really
so
beautiful.
it ended and Michael said, "Did you like it?" And I said, I want to be part of that magic. And it was the same feeling that I felt with a chorus line. So I know in my heart, I am some kind of an artist who's always been drawn to art. And those are those pivotal moments for me. Now, the difference is I always thought New York was going to be home. You know, after that weekend for my 18th birthday, I said, I'll be back for good one day, which is ironically what Elphaba says in Wicked.
Oh, she does, yes.
Yes, and I know a producer on that. And I said, still in my heart, I think I've told him this conversation and it somehow sneaked its way into the show. Wouldn't this be a great line for Elphaba? So yeah, I have been here. We're going on 3 decades in a blink of an eye. And I realized quickly that it didn't have to be Broadway for me, and I didn't want to give up everything that I'd have to give up to do that. That to me, performing art can be in a church, in a school, in your parents' living room at holiday time, which I'm sure some of you dressed up and did some performing for your families and friends, in that local bar, you know. So all of that, to me, it's just, you know, inspiration is everywhere, including other people inspire me.
I think that's why.
But that moment, those moments.
Probably for you, you know, being in a city like New York is
it's like your story. What inspired you?
It's kind of like it's giving you a lot. You don't have to necessarily be on the stage all the time because New York is giving you so much creatively.
Right. So how are you here? What was your inspiration? Your older brother?
That was my inspiration to start with hairdressing. You know, I guess ultimately it was his passion that really was infectious and caught me.
Do you remember a moment like watching him cut?
And
or
it was
hearing him talk about
I mean, you
it?
know, it's like it's great to have an older brother in a bigger city. In my case, it was Munich. I'm from Nuremberg, and so I remember in '80, it was the '80s too. It was a great time, very experimental
With areas.
a lot of fashion,
Fun
fashion,
hair.
music, and so it was a good time. And so to visit him. And it was the first time, you know, just take a bus just an hour away, and you visit your brother who's 10 years older, and he just started working with people from Vidal Sassoon, and I had no idea, you know, what, you know, Vidal Sassoon, what is that, who is that, and but then I slowly sort of like was introduced to the whole idea of hairdressing, you know, in through his eyes. And it just started a whole new world, you know, it opened up a whole new world for me. And how much passion there was and how much dedication there was. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So if, you know, when he came to Nuremberg, because he was asked by his former boss to hold a seminar for his employees now. You know, I was asked to join, you know, just to sit in and just to watch, and that I think was it for me, you know, because that was then an invitation afterwards by his ex-boss that, you know, if any of your brothers would ever want to join this profession, there will always be a spot for them. And I said, okay.
That's awesome.
This sounds great, let me try it. And that was many years ago, and I never looked back. And it is something that changed, you know, my life for sure, because it really introduced me to something that I wasn't aware of before. So can be that one person that introduces you to something, and your life will take a different direction.
Yeah, well, like, I'm not sure if you know, when I first got into doing hair, I mean, my first memories of wanting to do hair, I remember was at 5 years old, actually. Watching my mom get ready in the mornings. My mom, she always would tell me, I remember sitting on the bed, watching her put her makeup and doing her hair before going to work, and I was just very fascinated at how it can change your whole persona, and how it made her, it's like her armor, you know, she's going to war in the world, but doing this hair and this makeup.
I saw it as a costume.
Or
The costume of the day.
Costume of the day, exactly. Very Edie Beale.
Yes, yes.
Well, it's actually funny that you said when you said I was 5 years old, because I guess if I go back, there's a photo. I just remember it now when you said that, where we were helping. I was helping my brother. He was doing perms. Of course,
And you were little jumbo
was
wraps.
80s, and I wasn't helping wrapping, but what I was doing was I was applying the foam. Remember the foam?
Foam perm.
Foam
Yeah.
perm?
Yeah.
So much fun when you're 5.
See? Yeah, when you're
Is
a
that a
kid.
little bit like Christmas fake snow in the windows?
Almost.
Is it a little bit like Ready Whip?
No, not quite. But yeah, we saw it when we were kids, and then I always had thought about it. And my aunt did hair, just like with you having your brother, seeing her when I was younger, being in the shop, sitting there, and just being fascinated. And I kind of lost my dream a little bit. But then once I came back after my partner passed away, when I came back to California, I met with one of my good friends, Ian, who actually is a hairdresser too, and was like, you always talk about wanting to do hair, why don't you just go? And so I said, well, it was a financial thing too, sometimes you don't have money to go to school. And so when you're in that position, you're kind of like, okay, well, do I just do a job to make money, or do I kind of follow my dreams? It's a hard decision
Sounds like
to
an
make.
actor.
Yes, exactly.
Or an artist, a painter.
So what I ended up doing was going to school as well as working at a salon, so I can eat, sleep, breathe hair, so I can actually be fully enveloped into it. And I found that was where I was supposed to be. Though I had a main idea of where I wanted my career to be, it never will be exactly that, because within this industry, it's constantly changing. So you got to move with it and evolve with it. And though I am probably not doing crazy TV and film and editorial stuff right at this moment, you still get a taste of that stuff, and that still can come too. So my eyes are still on that. It's just that I need to make sure to conform with the change rather than fight against it.
Right.
And it's here.
Yeah.
It's around you. So
Exactly.
you're pretty close. So.
And you don't want to be discouraged either, and that's the biggest thing. Of course, with me I was doing hair for 8 years out in LA, and okay, I just up and decide, let's go to New York. That's kind of a hard thing for a hairdresser to do, because if you have clientele out where you're at, 8 years is a long time to build that. And when you're coming to a new place like a big city of New York, and you don't have a book, it's a struggle. But
do you feel in California, where you were working, that it was more of a community neighborhood type thing? Because I can tell you that here in the city, every time a stylist moves, it's that much more difficult on themselves as well as a salon that they leave, because everyone has to start back up again. But it's not to say that I don't understand it, which is why I always encourage people to look in many places before they choose any place.
Correct.
Regardless if it's this place or not, no one is going to make a lot of money going in, right?
No.
So you have to find something that can work with you, still allowing you to do other things like we do. We encourage, like Raphael's doing TV stuff, and others do editorial stuff. And it's happened over the years where we encourage that, because you have to be out there creating that network for yourself.
Yes.
Because maybe you do want to be an editorial stylist.
Yes.
Maybe you do want to travel, right? Like some of my actor friends, and I never did. And other people that we've met want to go back to a salon. They don't want to be out there in this studio or that studio, not knowing what light or electric source you're going to have,
You gotta try it
what help you'll have.
and see if that experience is good or not, or if you're missing.
But I think
That's
that
a lot.
like
Like
York
you're saying,
is
you have to
very
look.
transient,
Yes.
and that's the problem. Whether you are doing just in a salon all the time, even if you're there, I don't know, however many hours people work. We don't even do a 40-hour work week here, but along with everything else that we do, it is difficult to build a book and maintain a book, because it's so transient.
Yes.
We get people who come in on a contract from London, and they're an attorney and they're here for 2 years, or they do an office kind of swap thing where
Like 6
someone
months
from
here,
here will
some-
go there, and
Constant
someone from there will come here. So,
exchange.
is it the same way? You think?
In LA, well, see, it's.
I mean,
a
I know
little
you
di-
don't
it's a little
know every
different.
salon,
But I mean, but with coming to New York, like I said before I came here, I went to a few other places and auditioned and, you know, to see what the vibe was.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, you have to kind of find where you feel the most comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this is where I found the most comfortable and felt I could be more creative, be more open of what I wanted to do with expanding my career, and getting to the goal eventually of where I want to be. You know, so yes, with finding this place, but in LA,
Was it transient?
It's
Was
it's
it-
transient in certain areas, but LA's so big compared to New York.
Yeah.
So I would say yes, it is very community area orientated.
Oh, okay.
So like with me working in the South Bay area in Torrance, when I worked there, it was basically within the 3-mile radius of the shop where most of the people came from, as well as other salons that I have worked out in there. But that's with LA. There's not a lot of transit, you know, public transit to get anywhere.
Oh,
Everyone
right.
has to drive everywhere.
Right.
So it's like you kind of have to find what's in your area, unless you find a really good hairdresser. I've had few people when I worked in Culver City come from Long Beach, which is about an hour and a half
They travel.
ride to travel
They
through
travel,
traffic to
yeah.
get to see you.
Has
So I mean,
stylist will travel. It's
But-
easier to change a doctor than it is
Yes.
to change a hairdresser.
very true.
That's what we hear.
So that's the thing that's I do see the difference with LA being where if you're in a community, you kind of get set. And with me being from there and living in there, I felt more able to grow faster because I had my childhood friends or my
Sure.
family friends.
That's
or,
very helpful.
You know,
Yeah.
community groups that I was a part of
Yeah,
out
yeah.
there, stuff like that. It's that makes it just that much more easier. And of
Yes,
course,
yes.
with me being newer to New York, yes, I am a little timid when I first come. I'm always say that I'm shy, but then once I'm comfortable, I go attack it.
Yeah.
So
I think you gotta let people know what you're doing.
exactly.
Number one, and if you see somebody who has cool hair, just tell them that.
Yeah,
It's
like
I
last
love your
week
hair.
when we went to brunch.
Yes.
We were just looking, you know, and that's what I constantly do, just looking at people on the train or whatever and trying to see, is that hair that, you know, would be great that I could work with and help them and, you know,
Right.
make
That's
them
why
better.
you always carry your cards.
Love
kids.
your
Yes.
love your
I
hair.
ran out
Introduce
that day.
yourself and just say, yeah, this is where I am. Would love to see you in my chair.
Don't be scared.
because that's also the clientele that you ultimately will get.
Exactly.
It's the clientele
Attract
that you call for, that you talk to, that you want, because otherwise you're not gonna be happy,
Yeah.
working.
I think when we were on the Upper West Side working for someone else, that neighborhood had a lot more people walking around than when we were on the Upper East Side with ourselves. But it was a different time as well.
Yes.
Because we ended up, a lot of actors and musicians. Like our favorite client who lost you, Roger Daltrey. Roger Daltrey, if you're watching
Roger
this.
Daltrey,
I
great-
know they're bringing the Grinch
Great.
back to Broadway, but he was here to do Scrooge.
Right.
And he loved you. You were in the front window. He came in and
Yes.
you cut his hair while he was here to do that. He was staying
Great,
upstairs.
great head of hair for sure.
And then you did his wife at the time as well. She came in a few times because she wanted to sit in your chair as well. So, we had a lot of people were there at the time. And I don't even know if they're there anymore.
Yeah,
Matt
because this
Dillon.
city changes so,
the,
and-
so
the,
fast.
the Baldwins and JFK Jr. Yeah, he
Yeah.
came a couple of
Oh,
times.
before-
We were
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
distraught when that
I'm
accident
sure.
happened. I did not want to believe it. He was just a gentleman all the time. My friend, you mentioned the Baldwins, and that's right, because we had my darling friend, maybe you'll be watching this, China.
China
I
Phillips.
miss those people in my life that cared. It's so funny
About
because
the art,
they
yeah.
they just they were very into, they appreciate all kinds of art, and that's again why we call you sculptors and painters, right? So yes, but that neighborhood too has changed. You know, I don't used to see people walking around all the time, and if I had seen, we were walking down Columbus Avenue and saw Roger, he would love to come sit in your chair. But we don't see Roger
don't
walking
check.
around. You know, we don't see people anymore that we used to see walking around. And I know that my friends, you know, they've gone to the West Coast. I don't know if it's the weather or if it's the gigs, but a lot of them now have gone west and come here for projects or come here just to shoot
Well,
and then go
film
back.
brings a lot of people out
TV
west.
as well.
TV,
So
film.
we need the rest of y'all step up, come out and visit, and if you know Roger, tell him where Michael can be found.
There you go. Yes.
He can come sit in this chair.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just as comfortable.
That's
Yeah.
why nowadays, I mean, especially here in the city, with it ever evolving and quickly changing,
Yes,
as you said,
quickly
just within the
changing.
past 3 years in this area.
Yeah.
Say
And
how much has changed.
The entire
Gotta-
city. The entire city. We're losing a lot of our mom and pop shops, and we are. That's why we're constantly
A community,
encouraging in
yes.
newsletters. You know, we look. If Midoma had to fall, we would not be able to continue helping because we've lost our format, we've lost our venue to help all the artists and the designers that we've helped thus far, along with, you know, all of the coaching that has happened through this space. And
Yeah, the platform is important, and
It has to be shared.
has to
Yes.
be shared, and more platforms have to be built.
and
Yes.
more stories. So I do want to say that we have a special project which has to do with dreaming, and which has to do with 1, 2, 300 billion trillion people
Trillion.
coming to this city with
Yeah.
a dream. At least one. I mean, you know, I've got a lot of business plans in my head, but there are only a few dreams in my pocket. So you have, what do you want to give out about that?
Well, it's
This is a little
a project. It's coming soon. We don't want to give away too much just yet, but it is definitely very timely because, you know, we live in New York City, and
A melting pot.
we meet so many people from all over the world, and it's hard to understand why why anybody wouldn't want to embrace that idea, because New York is a concept, right? New York is this idea that everybody, you know, can come here and
Do a hustle.
and has, you know, if you have the passion, and if you have if you
The
have
motivation.
the motivation, you have this desire, you can make just about anything here.
Yes.
you know?
And
I
if you
think
can
it's
make it here, you can make it
Yeah, and I think
anywhere.
it's
That is the biggest tagline.
and I think it's a great concept, and what we were trying to highlight with this project that's coming out soon is to highlight a few of those dreamers that are here that we've met in New York, and I think it will be a great project
When
to
can
share.
we expect
It
a
will bring-
teaser or
yes.
something?
Well, teaser
Do we
will
have a
be coming
timeline?
within the next, I would say this week, next week, and then we'll also have something in print, actually something that people can wear,
Oh.
and they can wear a dreamer, and then maybe have other people, you know, find out about this dreamer and say, "Oh, who is this person on your shirt, on your, you know," and then you can start the conversation. You can even
That is a huge key. Start the conversation.
Yes, that's what this
Join
is
a
about.
community.
It's about the conversation more so.
Create a community.
More so. I mean, the project is about the conversation. You know, everything else is a bonus, of course. You know, to meet these great dreamers. That's,
I'm really excited, and that was your thing, and you started throwing that around in my direction like last year.
Oh, everything takes time.
It does. Everything does take time.
You have to
and
find the right people.
I'm proud of the project and the people that we have involved. But if I give the names out, then people will know what I'm talking about. So I'm not going to give your
No,
names.
don't
You
give it
know who you
away.
are. You're important.
But
Yes.
it's always important to find the right people to have a good group where you can work on projects. Just like we said before, editorial work. I mean, we can also do our own editorial work. We
Yeah,
can
that's right.
We can have our own story out there.
Stay inspired.
What we need,
Creating.
what we need, is to gather a group of enthusiastic professionals and work
Bloggers.
on a story, and then you
Enthusiastic
create
bloggers.
your images and your videos, and there you have your own work in print, on film.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Right?
Amen. Should we start the day and
Yeah,
start some
well,
conversations?
let's say for our homework for everyone.
Homework.
Join a community or talk to somebody.
I think I've like rubbed off on you. You're like giving people homework. You're giving people pep
Homework.
talks.
Well, I
kind
love
of like that whole homework
I
thing,
love
you know,
that.
because
Okay,
then
go
it's
ahead.
something
I'm
we can
sorry.
touch. But I'm
What's the
saying,
homework?
like join, talk, look out there for a community to join, you know, because that's what
Yeah.
my goal is for this week. I've actually thinking of going to the LGBTQ center and just kind of seeing what they're doing
Yeah.
to see how I can build my network.
Yeah.
Join or start a
Or start.
start
Like
something.
you're saying,
Yeah.
start a community with
and
your
then bring
dreams.
other people into your project.
Exactly.
One way or another,
Yeah.
I think that's a good way of expanding your horizon.
And share. And if there's any way we can help you, let us know.
Reach out.
So
Yeah,
hopefully
always
by
reach out.
next week, you know more about this project.
Yay! All right.
Well, I heard the phone ringing.
You gotta
right?
turn us off.
Let's
Day's
do
about to
some.
start.
Let's do some hair.
All right.
I'm gonna turn you off. You can say goodbye.
Yes, yes, yes.
Everyone have a great day and a
I'll
good
say
week.
goodbye now.
Yeah.
We'll see
Have
you next
a
week.
great day, everybody.
Yes, bye.
Take care.